Greetings, everybody. I am Tieesha. Thank you for joining me on this live video, and shout out to everybody who was going to watch the replay. Thank you so much for being here. I have a great video for you tonight, and it's really a heavy subject, and I couldn't do this all by myself, so I have a special guest that I will introduce in a moment. Just want to say thank you for over 17,000 subscribers, and also everyone who has supported me at Tiemonix.com, where you can pick up all of your self-defense gear. So tonight, the subject, you saw it on the thumbnail, and you see it on the title. I want to talk to you about the dangers and what others do not talk about when it comes to this divest Black female and the other dangers of IR dating. And so recently there was something that happened, in the world, in the country, over specifically in the Pacific Northwest. And this is be the great time that I will introduce my guest who is here with me. This is Brother Michael. He is from the Pacific Northwest. He made it out, just like I did, made it out of the sunken place. So, Brother Michael, how are you doing today?
You know what? I'm blessed. I'm great. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me on your show. Can you hear me okay?
Just fine.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm blessed. I'm good. Thank you, Queen.
Thank you so much. And like that was one of the first things that we talked about when we first met, because when you told me where you were from, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you made it out of the sunken place. The Pacific Northwest. Where are you from specifically up there?
So I grew up in mostly in the Federal Way area. That's where I went to like middle school, high school. I lived after that. So yeah.
And that's all part of like King County, right outside of Seattle, right?
Right. We about 30 minutes south of downtown Seattle.
Okay.
And yeah, South King County. We actually border Pierce County. The end where I grew up in, I bordered Federal Way, and like Tacoma was literally like 2 blocks away. So
okay.
Yeah, we for real South Side.
Just across the Tacoma Narrows Bridge. I know exactly where you're talking about. But what is it? JBLM over there? Yep.
Yeah, Joint Base. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So you are quite familiar, one of the things that, I actually said this in a video I made as I was leaving Bremerton, Washington. However, I just edited out because I'm like, you know what, I'll just not say that, but I pretty much got everything off my chest. One thing that I say about the Pacific Northwest is that it is the sunken place. And if there's like, as a Black woman, I did not have a good time up there because I was not looking to, date outside my race. I knew about the sundown towns up there. I was also aware of the prejudice. And so I said that most of the people that I know who are happy up there, in Washington, Oregon, and some parts of California, they go there and they seek, divest culture. So can you talk about your experiences growing up there and, witnessing that firsthand? And was I going crazy? Am I going crazy for thinking that way in my observations? So let me know if I'm speaking ill on your hometown and all that up there.
You coming hard from my hometown like that. I don't even, no. We all gravy out there. We Malcolm X all day, every day. In the PNW, nah. It's funny you mentioned that because when I used to live there, I had a lot of friends that, a lot of my Black friends, especially out of high school, they were prior service, right? So they had got stationed out there, specifically at Fort Lewis. So anyways, it was funny. So a lot of the guys that were prior, so they were from the South, most of them. And they would come out there and, they would interracially date, more than likely to be with a white woman, right? And what I noticed with them is they would be like, they would go tell their friends, hey, come out to Seattle, because they were from the South, obviously. So at that time, this was late 90s, early 2000, interracially dating wasn't that cool down that way. And they would tell them, be like, hey, look, it's cool out here. Let's go ahead and do it. It's fine. Come on, you can do that here. We don't care. They don't care really, blah, blah, this, that, the third, So I always saw them. It was funny. I'd be like, y'all came from, I didn't have the Black community experience that they had, So they would come out, they came from that and would come to Seattle and just be like, look, just hanging out with, who, Heather and them, I don't want to say the other one, but, it is what it is. But, as far as that, you did have that out there. It wasn't everybody, but yeah, it was definitely out there. It definitely wasn't, especially if you were around where I lived. It's funny, there was a lot of Black people. It wasn't like it wasn't Black folks where I lived. Actually, that side where I grew up, there was quite a few Black people, and then Tacoma had a lot of Black people as well, but even then, again, it was just like the lack of culture. We didn't really know. I had a little bit of an idea because my mom is from Chicago, my dad is from Alabama/Michigan. So when I would go out there to visit family, I would get that dose of it, right? And then I still watched the movies, and my parents still made sure I understood certain things about our culture, right? My parents did. So, but even with that being said, it just wasn't like a lot of our culture was MTV culture, unfortunately. So we mimicked what we saw on a lot of them. It wasn't really that much. Mimic more what they saw on MTV because that's all that they knew. Now, I knew there was something different because, again, I would always visit the East Coast, the Midwest, the South. So I saw Black people in a different light. Then, obviously, looking at my parents, I saw them too. So, but yeah, it's definitely true. It's like Black light out there, I guess, if you want to call it that. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Thank you for that insight. Because I felt like I was going crazy for a moment. I'm like, this is crazy. I mean, like the first portion I was there, I was still married. But then, once I got divorced, I'm like, this is not the place to date. Like, I'm good because some of the stuff that I was exposed to, at work or just in the community from non-Black people, the first thing is, how do you get your hair like that? Or how long does it take to do your hair like that? And, just really treating you like you came from outer space. And I'm like, this is not for me. And then I knew of a couple of girlfriends I had who were just, they were involved in, IR dating, and they would come to me and say, hey, his parents do not want to meet me. His parents don't like me. And I'm like, I just sat there like, it comes with the territory. Like, okay. I'm like, I don't know what else to tell you, player. So, and it's not funny, and we're not making fun of anybody, but it's just sometimes you
hey, look, I'm gonna be real. I don't have that problem. So
right.
Right? I don't have any, yeah.
I don't either. I was like, I recognized it, and I was like, you know what, this is not for me. And then also too, I was privy to hear some conversations and this will lead us into, the recap of that, that brutal situation that happened. There was a white male I was working with, and he was dating, a Black female. And so he would constantly, like when he's telling stories, he just brought up like, well, I'm dating a Black chick, my girl's Black. And I'm like, all of a sudden I'm like, who cares? So, it came up in every conversation, my girl's Black. But then, once I knew I had to like really leave him alone and not associate, was the times where he would come around me and he'll tell me a story about, dinner, they had or something at the house. He's like, you know what, this bitch. And I'm like, whoa, you don't ever call a Black woman a bitch in my presence. I'm like, oh, right. I went clean the hell off. Like I was getting ready to file a complaint, but I nipped in the bud right there. And I'm like, you know what, I don't have to go home to him. But I knew that was the behavior. And I knew that a lot of times when I'll have white males around me or non-Black males around me, they'll start saying little things, to see how far they can get with, like with him calling her the B word. And then he'll go like, well, when I was in high school, I used to listen to Eminem and I used to say the N word. And I'm like, I was like, you know what? I'm done. I don't want to be bothered. Leave me alone. Don't F with me, because they'll test you to see how comfortable, grooming you. And then the disrespect hierarchy just keeps climbing.
Right.
And like I said, I felt sorry that she was going home to that, because I'm like, that could not be me.
Right.
Not at all.
That's very true. I mean, I think as Black people, we've all experienced that when we're around non-Black people, it's almost like a crap test. I'm trying to think of another euphemism. It's like a Black empowerment test or a Black respect test, to see, okay, well, what can I get away with talking around this Negro or whatever you want to call it,
Exactly.
What is he cool with or what is she cool with? And yeah, you have to sit here and set those boundaries immediately. Like, no, I'm not cool with that, so yeah.
Thank you for that. So I'm going to let you, for those who aren't familiar with the Seattle Seahawks player Chad Wheeler and his brutal assault on his girlfriend. I know you're into sports and you have that perspective. So can you recap and let the audience know what happened with that situation if they're not familiar with that, and bring us up to speed?
Yeah, definitely. I got the articles, ESPN. It was very interesting when this when I was looking this up a few days ago, ESPN did a really, really light article on it, right? Like I'm talking, it was 2, maybe 3 paragraphs. It was horrible. But, I had found out about it from, thanks to the new Black media. I believe it was Tariq Nasheed had posted it. I follow him on Twitter. So I said, okay. And that had a better, I guess what you could call a description of what was going on. But basically, in a nutshell, I guess I'll just read it from here. That's okay to do that, right? To read it from the webpage. There's no
Yes, that's perfectly fine. Yes.
Okay, cool. All right. Let's see here. Okay, so according to let's see, Wheeler was arrested late Friday evening, so that was last Friday, after alleged assault at an apartment in Seattle suburb of Kent. I actually used to live in Kent, by the way, where he and the woman had been living together since November. According to the incident report and charging documents obtained by ESPN, the woman called 911 from inside a locked bathroom and said she was being killed. She told Kent police she had fled into the bathroom after Wheeler threw her onto a bed and choked her long enough for her to lose consciousness. At one point, she said he removed one hand, stuck it down her throat, and pressed it against her nose and mouth to try to stop her from breathing, while continuing to choke her with his other hand. The woman briefly regained consciousness before Wheeler pinned her down and choked her back into unconsciousness. So he choked her basically twice, and she went to unconsciousness twice, it looks like. According to the charging documents, the woman recalled attempting to roll away from Wheeler, only for Wheeler to violently grab her left arm and rip her body back toward him. The charging documents state that when the woman regained consciousness for the second time, Wheeler calmly returned to the bedroom and expressed surprise, saying to her, "Oh, you're still alive? Al, you're still alive." I'm trying to do my white supremacy. She ran to the bathroom, locked it, and sent text messages to friends and family, as well as Wheeler's father. Okay, I don't know why you did that. Asking them to call 911. She said she heard Wheeler tell someone on the phone she believed it was his father that was just chilling, that he was just chilling. That's in quotes, just chilling. When a woman tried to flee out of the second door to the bathroom, Wheeler entered and began apologizing profusely. She said she would hear, let's see here. She said I'm sorry. Police could hear a woman screaming from the inside the apartment. The report states they forced entry into the unit and then the locked bathroom where Wheeler was standing behind the woman. The report states that she was crying in pain, with her face covered in blood and her left arm swollen and limp against her body. She also had noticeable fingerprints on both sides of her neck, according to the report, obviously from her being choked. The woman was asked by one officer if she thought she was going to die and responded, "I thought I already had." So, yeah. And just to kind of give you a description of Chad Wheeler, he is 6'7" and 310 pounds. So this is a big guy. I believe he's an offensive tackle. Is that what it is? No, I'm sorry, offensive lineman. So those are the big guys, up front. So yeah, 6'7", 310 pounds. And then also this was interesting as well. Wheeler did not comply with officers' commands, and that at least one taser application was made directly to his body with little effect. As 3 officers attempted to detain him, Wheeler repeatedly yelled sorry and said, "I don't beat women." He called out to the woman that he loved her. Wheeler refused to speak with officers, according to the report. So, a whole bunch of play going on there. I don't know. That's what happened.
Wow, and I'm really thankful that you read that, because that's the most descriptive article that's out there. The rest of them, it glances over everything lightly, doesn't really say what's going on. And my past as a police officer, someone who was over 6 feet 300 pounds, one officer could not arrest him. You do not put one set of cuffs on him. You use at least, I'd say for him, 3 sets of handcuffs. And, the average officer carries 1 set of cuffs because the arms the shoulders and all that do not come back to meet. So you have to either use a waistband and shackles or at least 3 sets of handcuffs. So that's to let someone know, like, I would not have arrested him by myself. And then also the fact that, use of force, they went to the taser, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And, with certain people, the taser does not work. You hit them with the taser,
Right.
pull that joker right off and keep fighting. So the resisting arrest was there, you know, for them to apply a non-lethal use of force. That just shows how, you know, out of control he was. And speaking on that, where she's like, you know, I thought I died. Strangulation, you know, in the jurisdiction I worked in, that's a felony. You know, that's attempted murder to, you know, restrict the airflow. You know, that's beyond. And then, you know, it's and everything is alleged. You know, but for the victim to go through that is really unfortunate, and for mainstream media and the other outlets to downplay this as if it was just a verbal argument, where this woman could have lost her life. You know, had that chokehold been applied, you know, a little bit more, or he had the power to snap her freaking neck, you know what I'm saying, this would have been a homicide, you know. But yeah, let us know in the comments what y'all think of this, because yes, what are your thoughts about the whole incident, and, you know, your afterthoughts after reading that, and, you know, some of the measures you went through to make sure that this story was not swept under the rug. So yeah, we'll take a minute. Some more shout out to you. She says that made my goosebumps come out. I can only imagine. And nobody's laughing. So Lisa, nobody's laughing at the situation. It was just, he was doing an imitation of the voice, because as we're listening to this, it's playing out in our mind. We've seen this, you know, we hear stories of this. And that's one thing that is going on. Like it's a freaking epidemic of Black women losing their lives with their non-Black partners. And no one wants to talk about that. They want to downplay it, you know. And there was a article, and I'll share that in a moment, where this is where the divest culture comes in. The divest Black female comes in there, where they're more upset with the commentary regarding the situation rather than the actual, you know, brutal, damn near murder allegedly on this woman. So that's what has me in my feels. So, Brother Michael, what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at, it's interesting that you mentioned that, because again, just looking at the article, what he was charged with. I had told you earlier when we were talking, you know, he wasn't charged with attempted murder, which he obviously should have been. He tried to kill her. I mean, you don't use a chokehold. I mean, you're a police officer, so you know about the chokehold. You don't strangle. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You're right. You was. I'm sorry. All right. Yeah. You were a police officer, so you understand different tactics and moves that you use to subdue or to incapacitate somebody, right? So I guess what I'm trying to say is that when you strangle somebody like with your hands like this, you know, there's only one thing you're trying to do, and that's kill them. I mean, it's just plain put, you know. So with that, I don't know why, you know, well, actually I know why. You know, he didn't get hit with attempted murder, but what was it? It was let's see. So he was.
I believe it was assault. It was assault. Yeah. It was I looked up the code. It was the revised code of Washington. We see RCW assault. There's just a revised code of Washington. I think it was 1933, and there was acronym next to it.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. It was first degree domestic violence. Assault is that's what he hit. So first degree domestic violence assault, which is a Class A felony in Washington. And then it says, while domestic violence unlawful imprisonment is a Class C felony. So he got first degree domestic violence assault and domestic violence unlawful imprisonment. So yeah, and then if convicted, Willard could be sentenced to sentenced to 8 to 12 years in prison, according to prosecutors. You know, so yeah, that's the full extent. Obviously, it needs to be more than that. You know, again, we need to see attempted murder charges. That's what absolutely we want to do. And I didn't look up to see what that goes for in Washington State, but yeah, we need to see that. And then another thing that they're trying to do is they're trying to downplay on this, obviously, right? So, you know, him being bipolar and he was off his meds, right? And you know what my thing was is no, what happened was his white supremacist gene activated, and you know she was in the wrong place at the wrong time when that got activated. You know. So that's what this was. And, you know, regardless if he had mental issues or not, I don't care, because Another thing that was very interesting is, and they're not talking about this, but he actually got into another incident a few years ago when he was in college. He went to USC, right?
Wow.
So, put this to the page here. Okay, so the Los Angeles Times reported that while at USC in December 2015, Wheeler was detained and then taken to a hospital for psychiatric evaluation after police were, you know what? I wish I could get detained for psychiatric evaluation after I do some bad stuff. You know what I mean? I wish that could happen to me.
And get tased at the least. You know, I've been tased before. You know, you do that 5-second ride and then you keep on going about your business. You know, other times, you know.
Right. You know, after police responded to a call that he was punching walls and windows while barricaded inside an apartment with a 20-year-old female friend and her 7-month-old son. Okay. Police subdued Wheeler. Now, here's the thing. Police subdued Wheeler by firing multiple beanbag rounds. You know, remember, he's 6'7", 310. He probably was a little bit lighter back then, but still a big guy, right? According to the report. So they had to shoot beanbag rounds at this guy just to get him down, you know, to incapacitate or to subdue him. But yeah, after doing all that, he psychiatric evaluation, you know, and they knew at that time, by the way. So this is where I was talking about. There's the ESPN article, then there's the Yahoo Sports article. Yahoo Sports talked about how he actually, at that time, he had issues with bipolar, you know, and he was on some type of, you know, episode, if you want to call it that, you know, or whatnot. And, you know, he still got into the league because this was when he was at USC. He still got into the league with all these issues. So there's there's issue and blame all around this. You know, obviously him being the protagonist, right? So he's the main problem. But then you got these institutions, you know, USC, the colleges, and the NFL. You know, he actually was, I believe he was with the Patriots before he was with the Seahawks. But anyways, you got the NFL, and then you got these organizations within the NFL, right, that are employing this person, right, and, you know, basically employing them and condoning his behavior. Because if you're going to employ this person and give him lots of money, you know, to do to play football, even though he's got these issues, what do you think is going to happen, right? So, you know, this is just he's a threat. He's obviously a threat. He was a threat back in 2015, and he's a threat right now in 2021, you know. And this is the stuff we know about. This ain't the stuff we don't know about, you know.
He is obviously a loose cannon, and how they kept letting him get away with stuff, making excuses, and, you know, it possibly almost led to this woman losing her life. And, you know, anybody else, you know, they call the police on you, right, you know, being bipolar or damaging walls or a threat to society. You know, right, if you're lucky, you'll get the red flag law when you go sit for a mental evaluation. But other times, you know, if you don't have the complexion for the protection, you know, right, you may, you know, that'd be the end of you. Because recall what happened to our sister. I forget her name, and forgive me for forgetting her name, but, you know, she was in her apartment with her baby live streaming, and they killed her in her apartment, and she wasn't even armed. You know what I'm saying? Right. I forget her name. Forgive me for that. Forgive me for that.
Was this the one you're talking about in Baltimore? In Baltimore with not Rakia Boyd. I don't think that was her name. Was it?
I'm sorry. And they cut her live stream, and then they, you know, took her life, and her child was right there with her in the apartment. So you can see, you know, the disparity when it comes to, you know, non-Black people coming in contact with law enforcement, how they'll, you know, sweep it under the rug and get you all the services that you need. And, you know, speaking of the whole, you know, domestic violence and stuff, like my situation, you know, the end of it happened in Washington. And, you know, it was a point in time where I'm like, I wish I had bruises, because nobody believed me when I was crying out for help and trying to get, you know, intervention. But, you know, this woman here, she had the obvious bruises, you know, the obvious signs of a physical battery. And because when mine went to a jury, I didn't have bruises. I wasn't, you know, dead or anything like that. But I'm like, this woman has it right here. So, you know, the one thing that stood out to me was the immediate saying like, oh, it's bipolar. Oh, he's off his meds. You know, it's
Right.
all this. No, he knew good and goddamn well what he was doing. He,
Right.
you know, another article said, you know, he looked at her and said, oh, I thought that you were dead, allegedly. You know what I'm saying? But he knew good and goddamn well what he was doing. And in this situation, you know, if the victim happens to watch this video, you know, don't make excuses for it. Don't make excuse like, oh, he's off his meds. You're his girlfriend. You're not even, and I'm not saying it'd be right if they were married, but I'm saying this is a girlfriend. Okay.
Right.
And you know, this happened to her where she almost lost her freaking life. This is not cool if your girlfriend, wife, you know, super wife after 50 years, don't do any of that. But, you know, for him to do this to her. But the thing of it is, when you say his white supremacist gene was activated, and supposedly this came after she refused to bow to him. Okay. Right. And we're all familiar with the term, you know, the slave play and, you know, the ghetto gaggers and stuff like that. And I hope that doesn't get the video flagged or whatever. But that's one thing that I noticed is that I had went to a meetup in Bremerton. And I was with this group, and something told me to well, I had my gun all the time anyway, but before I went to the meetup, you know, I was somewhere where I couldn't have my gun. Then I went to go get my gun, and I went to the meetup. And when I was there, it was just this awkward attention where, you know, people ask to do stupid stuff, you know, like, let me touch your hair, or just actually really inappropriate questions. And so when it said, you know, he wanted her to bow, I'm pretty sure that, you know, she's done this in the past, and it's just, you know, she probably just like had enough and like, look, I'm going to stand up, and enough is enough. And he was not handling that. So can you talk to us a little bit about these fetishes that goes on that's not talked about in our relationships that, you know, adversely affect, you know, the Black person that's in it? So can you talk a little bit about these, you know, insane things that happen?
Well, I mean, fortunately I can't, because I've never engaged in that.
I mean, of course on that aspect, but I'm just saying from a man's perspective, you know, from a Black man's perspective, I know, like, if you had a daughter, you know, and you was trying to let her know, like, look, we're not going to do this. There's some things that you need to be privy to. And, you know, if any man for that matter, tries to, you know, downgrade you in that manner, you know, what do you do? Because that's one thing that they want us to accept in this divest culture is, you know, this is just normal, but they have so many stigmas and stipulations on, well, Black men do this, do that, but they go over there and do, you know, some real dirty stuff, you know. So right. So can you have you
what were we gonna ask? Have I what?
Yeah, I was gonna say, have you heard of stories like this, or, you know, been in a room and heard it through the grapevine?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I've heard, you know, several stories like this. Now, I don't personally know, to best of my knowledge, know any Black woman that's gone through that. You know, but I've, you know, heard stories, I've seen things, or not seen things, but I've seen read articles on, especially when the George Floyd situation was going down last summer. You know, what I noticed was every time, you know, a white person kills a Black person unlawfully, and it's made public, right? And it's a big issue, you know, Tamir Rice, Trayvon Martin, obviously, and then again we'll talk about George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, and whatnot. You know, it's interesting. A lot of, you know, everybody, you got this outrage and all this, but then you got, you know, these Black women in interracial relationships. You know, they'll come out and they'll somehow, you know, this will bring out, again, like I said, that white supremacy gene gets activated with their lovers, right? And so, lovers. And they'll be like, oh yeah, you know, I've been having arguments with, you know, arguments with my boyfriend about this, or my husband about this. He doesn't believe this. He don't believe that. You know, why couldn't he just stay still? Why couldn't he just pull over? You know, things like that. Why couldn't, you know, he can just show his ID and everything. And, you know, and it's just like, when stuff like this happens again, like I said, you know, you start seeing, you know, people's truth, you know, because where you stand, you know, where you stand and where the person you're with, or where your friends, colleagues, whatever, husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, where they stand at. And yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it's nothing new. It's nothing new in regards to this. This is just plantation. This is what was happening on the plantation, you know, 400, you know, or 250 years ago. I guess I'm trying to do the math right. Yeah, where, you know, the massa was, you know, having the messing with the house woman. I'm not going to say the real word, but the house lady, and they was engaging in all types of dirty, raunchy slave play sex, and she had no choice but to comply, obviously, because she was not in a position of power. She was a slave. So she had to go along to stay alive. I won't say go on to get along, go on to stay alive. And with what happened, fast forward 2021 with Chad Wheeler, there's no difference from this. It's the same exact thing. And he probably was fetishizing about this. They've probably done this before. Let's just be clear. This is not the first quote unquote racial incident that has happened with them. I never believed that. They've been dating since November. So they've been together for about 3 months, right? So 2 months, excuse me, I'm doing my math wrong. Yeah, so they've been together for a couple of months. This isn't the first time. She probably went along with it, and then she was like, okay, this is just getting stupid. The whole glit and glamour of being with this NFL star, is not really, it's wearing off. And now he wants me to keep submitting and, submitting to this fashion. And no. But yeah, like I said, I could even imagine that it's even worse in other cases. It's even worse. So yeah.
Thank you so much for that. And like I said, thank you everybody who is here watching the live stream and those who will watch the replay. Shout out to it was DeAndre Mosley and Brother Solo Dolo. It was our fallen sister Corin Gaines. So thank you so much for her name, because I could not remember. So thank you so much. What we also have is a couple of articles. And when I heard about the situation, it kind of, set the atmosphere for when I first moved to Washington. And I knew, once I became single, that I really didn't want to, date, and I wanted just to mind my own business. I'm going to share with you a article that of a story that happened like right after I got there. And I'm going to share my screen and make sure this works. New tab, Chrome, allow. Forgive me because I don't use this software that often, but I'm like, please work. I need you to work.
Google Chrome, bring me home.
Right. Okay, let me get back to streaming software to make sure I have the right one. Nope, this is not the right screen. Let's go to a different one. But there was a story that happened, and I want y'all to see this for yourselves. So let me try this again. Here we go. All right. So this was of a African-American man who was fighting for his life after unprovoked racist rage attack in Auburn, Washington. And Brother Michael, I know that was your neck of the woods. Auburn is right outside of Seattle, correct?
Yep. Yeah, it's about well, okay, so in relation to where I'm from, which is Federal Way, Auburn is 15 minutes of that.
There we go.
Yeah, that's only 15 minutes. So it's literally like right down. I want to say it's down the street, but there's it's like Highway 18 you take down and drops you into the valley, because that's where it's Auburn Valley. My dad, he worked in Auburn for the school district, so he retired with them. But yeah, it's about 15 minutes away.
Perfect. And shout out to everybody who is still a subscriber, who is still rocking with me from going to go see Hidden Colors 5, up in Washington is where I met a lot. That was the most Black people I was around the entire time I was there. So shout out to everybody who was still rocking with me from, meeting me at the premiere for Hidden Colors 5. This story here, it happened right after I arrived. I got to Washington November of 2017, and this happened January 30th, 2018. African-American man fighting for his life after unprovoked racist rage attack in Auburn, Washington. And his name is Deshaun Horne. The man accused of attacking Deshaun Horne with a baseball bat became enraged when he learned that his sister had spent the night with the young African-American man, Auburn police said. He has been charged with malicious harassment, the state's hate crime statute, after beating this man with a baseball bat, and he's laying right there in the hospital fighting for his life. And he was in the hospital for a minute. Yeah, so where's this happened? It said, it was the 11th day. Horne and other family members and her son, large circle of friends, have kept a vigil at the hospital while they wait for Deshaun Horne to wake up from his injuries sustained in what police are calling an unprovoked attack with a baseball bat. As his uncles, we taught him to protect himself, said Ray Jenkins, who is considered family, even though he isn't related to Horne, but to be attacked from behind because of the color of his skin, ... I am going to jump down a little bit so you know what happened. Auburn police and King County prosecutors say Horne is the victim of a brutal assault and a hate crime perpetrated by the 18-year-old brother of a young woman with whom Horne spent the night. Julian Tiemunga of Auburn was charged last week with first-degree assault and malicious harassment, the state's hate crime statute, and remains in the King County Jail in lieu of $500,000 bail, jail and court records show. From what him and his family have been able to piece together, Horne, a mail handler for the U.S. Postal Service who lives in Kent, had a rare Friday night off, January 19th. He wanted to go to a particular nightclub in Seattle's Pioneer Square but couldn't get in, so he went to another nearby club instead. There he met a woman in her 20s and the two hit it off. At the end of the night, she invited him back to her place in Auburn. The next morning, the woman called a Lyft car to drive Horne home, according to his relatives and charging papers. It was the Lyft driver who had backed into the driveway of a home in the 600 block of 27th Street Southeast who witnessed the assault and called 911 just before 10:30 a.m. on January 20th. According to the charging papers, Tiemunga was carrying an aluminum baseball bat when he approached the Lyft driver and asked who the driver was there to pick up. The driver gave Tiemunga's sister's name as the person who requested the ride, then watched as Tiemunga walked to the corner of the fenced yard. A short time later, the driver saw Horne walk along the side of the house toward the driveway and heard him argue with Tiemunga, the charges say. He then heard a thump sound like a bat had struck something, according to the charging papers. The driver looked back and saw Tiemunga strike Horne in the head twice with the aluminum baseball bat and watched him fall to the ground. At that point, the driver heard Tiemunga say, "This is what happens when you bring Black people around here," the charges say. The Lyft driver drove away and parked 2 houses down, where he saw Tiemunga hit Horne 3 more times with the aluminum baseball bat while he was lying unconscious on the ground. Part of the attack was captured on the neighbor's video surveillance camera, and the footage shows Tiemunga armed with the bat and Horne falling onto the frame, unconscious. While Horne was laying bloody in the front yard, Tiemunga used his cell phone to video record the injured man while yelling racial slurs at him, the charges say. According to the charges, Tiemunga repeatedly used the N-word. I don't want to read too much more of this, but this brother here ultimately was in the hospital fighting for his life after, a date with a non-Black female up in Washington. And that was one of the reasons why I did not date while I was in the Pacific Northwest. And that's one thing that is not talked about. We see constant commercials on TV of interracial relationships and how harmonious it is, but they don't talk about the racism that goes along with it. So, Brother Michael, what do you have, any commentary on that incident right there?
Yeah, I mean, I remember when that happened a few years ago, and I remember I was telling one of my friends in Atlanta about this, and we were talking about it, and I was just like, yeah, I mean, we just gotta we gotta be aware. Black men, Black women, especially Black men, we gotta be aware of what's going on out here. Just because they're a person of color does not mean that they, relate to Black people or they're cool with Black people. It's just, I know, I grew up there. I ran into, in that area, you have a lot of Asians and Pacific Islanders, right? Which makes sense because we're on that side of the U.S. So, you lived in Hawaii. So, and I'm gonna be honest with you, they were just as racist as the white people I came in contact with, if not more, So yeah, I'm not surprised that happened, especially nowadays, because stuff is just becoming more, people's hatred for Black people, is starting to show more and more and more, because, we're becoming more empowered. We are becoming more overt with fighting white supremacy, and, what that's causing is it's drawing lines in the sand, And what's happening is people are just becoming more and more, again, overt and more honest about it, and that's why a lot of these attacks are coming out. And it's not just from white people. Again, Asians, I've came across them several times, and had to put them in, just kind of like how you were telling me about an incident where you had to put somebody in their place. I had to do that when I was at a club. I remember when I was living in Kent, matter of fact, was in the bathroom, and this Asian dude, he had said the N-word, right? But he thought he was cool, trying to say it with me. And I was like, hey man, I'm not cool with that. He was like, oh yeah, that was my bad. I was like, yeah, I'm not cool with that, man. You're not black, you Asian, just because you're a person of color. I don't care. I'm not cool with that. Don't be talking to me like that, So, but in his case, I mean, he was completely vulnerable. He didn't realize that he was, behind not only behind enemy lines, but in the enemy's house. So
he was worse. He was sleeping with the enemy. He was sleeping with the enemy
on top of that. Right. And on top of all that, sleeping with the enemy. And he could have been set up. Let's just be clear.
Absolutely.
The woman in that is not innocent. He could have been set up. So and he couldn't have been. I mean, we don't know, but. And part of the problem is, again, living out there, a lot of, the black men there that I grew up with, they were, oh yeah, it's cool, it's whatever, hey, it's not like that here. This is not like the 60s in the South where my parents came up and you couldn't do that. Here it's all accepting. And, obviously that's just not true. I'm fortunate. I didn't have any issues like that. Nothing came that crazy to me, but it could have easily happened. So, yeah.
I'm going to bring up something real quick. And this was the thing I noticed. Now, I'm going to go up to the picture of the brother. Like I said, we're not blaming him for what happens. It's very unfortunate. But if y'all can see what I see, this is his mother at his bedside. And you can obviously tell that he is, a biracial child. So one thing that I noticed, too, that often gets, some people, thinking that, they have the ability to, be fluid, with the whole umbrella of people of color, is majority of people who I know who are biracial. They'll, go and, see themselves as being a white person and disconnect from anything black. But that's really dangerous because, others would still treat them as if they were, as black as, the blackest person that. So that's one of the things that stood out to me, is that I think that he was, he's a product of mixed race. So he thought, may have thought, the world is accepting and, we're in this post-racial, but, it damn near cost him his life that night. So that's one thing that people don't talk about when it comes to, the dangers involved with interracial dating. So I hope I said that in the most respectful way, but that's why this umbrella of people of color is really so dangerous to us black people, because as you see, other so-called people of color, they get certain protections. We have to wait until, a law is passed and we have to be called the N-word as we're being assaulted to be considered a hate crime. If y'all remember when I went viral last month from that incident up in Omaha, they were going to let him walk with disorderly conduct after chasing a black woman with a chainsaw and calling her the N-word. You know what I'm saying? So, it takes so much for us to prove what's been going on since we got here. But other people, you put a label on an illness that may have originated in a country, and you get a hotline, you get, reparations, you get all types of stuff. But for us, we're still, like I have books over here, if I have one sitting near me, where we've been victimized and, the ultimate victims of hate crimes since the beginning of time. So that's my little righteous rant for a hot second.
Yeah.
But it pisses me off. So once again, thank you everybody for being here tonight and, listen to us. I have great brother Michael here. He has given us some insight. I'm so grateful for you being here. I adore you because you just have intelligence, a brilliance, that I really appreciate. And I thank you for that. So thank you so much for being here tonight. And so we are going to, if I can figure out stop sharing my screen. There we go. And bring us back up. There we go. So brother, can you talk to us about the divested black female and that whole movement? Oh, we're gonna go there. We're gonna go there. So
oh man. I mean, Well, I tell you what, why don't you tell us about
Okay. Okay.
I think it's good for, I want to
Okay.
get
Okay.
the empowered Black woman's perspective before I say what I gotta say.
I'm just Tieesha, I'm just Tieesha. So okay, we'll go
Right.
there. I would give you a break for a hot moment. I'm gonna bring myself to a full screen so you have a break for a second. So the divested Black female. I didn't really know what it was about. I had to Google the word divested. Like I thought it was an investment group that I had joined on Facebook. I'm like, okay, it's about investing and getting your money right. Okay. So I'm in there and some of the posts, like how the Facebook algorithm plays, it'll show you like constantly a group that you're in repeatedly for a whole day. And I'm looking at some stuff like, oh, I'm fixing to cuss some people out. And I'm like, what is this group again? And then I go and Google the word divested. Like, yeah, I have all these books behind me, but I had to go and Google the word divested. And I'm like, oh, this does not apply to me. And so what I got this whole divested Black female thing. Okay. You have these Black females, because, I talk about the difference between women and females. You have these Black females who have repeatedly chosen the wrong Black male to let into their life, and they're running from everything Black about them. So they're trying to become this pseudo non-Black female. And it's kind of like the female Uncle Ruckus. They have the reverse vitiligo. So how you recognize them? And I do have props. So how do you? Well, no. The divested Black female, they go and seek companionship with non-Black men or males. They go and seek companionship with non-Black males, and they do it because they want to not have anything to do with the Black males. Like everything bad is all Black males, but everything good about non-Black males, you could paint all of them with that. And they go and seek out non-Black males to prove that they are better than Black males. So in a way, they're being manipulative and they're using non-Black males to satisfy their hatred they have for anything Black. And I had an awakening. I'm happy that everybody got a chance to, witness my growth on this channel. And, as I've been growing up throughout the years. Now I see why brothers used to curve me and swerve me a lot, because, the first physical characteristic of a divested Black female is an atrocious ass wig. Like the wig just fresh out the pack and, just looking a damn goofball. So we're going to get into the traits of a divested Black female, but they blame everything bad on all Black men, and everything good, it's painted for all non-Black males, but they don't find fault in non-Black males. Like in this situation here that happened with Chad Wheeler, and how he damn near allegedly, killed his girlfriend of 2 months. Like, oh my gosh, 2 months, and that you damn near kill her. That's real problems right there. They have nothing to say about that. They're very cordial, and I hope he gets the help he needs. Not, look, justice needs to be served. Okay, like they don't come out and support their fellow sister in the divested movement. It's like, okay, you on your own, that's the gamble you took. I know there's a lot of casinos in Washington, but, that's just her gamble. But, non-Black males could never do anything bad as a whole. So correct me if I'm wrong. Let me know. I'm going to get off my tangent, but that's what I think of this whole divested.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was a very good explanation. I think it's funny that you mentioned that to talk about speaking of divested, and again, not trying to attack the victim, Chad Wheeler's victim, right? But when this happened, she was quick to say, "Oh, he's off his meds. He's off his bipolar meds." And one thing, if you notice, I would kept flipping these papers because there was a point I wanted to bring out. I forgot to mark it, but I finally found it. In regards to that, it says news report citing police incident report says Chad Wheeler has been prescribed medication for bipolar disorder, but had not been taking it. So they got that from his girlfriend that told the police that. His girlfriend was like, "Hey, look, he didn't take his bipolar meds," right? So she knew that. So but she was kind of low key. She was trying to low key excuse the behavior that almost got her killed, right? So And it's like, okay, so it says that is a serious mental health concern. But that same National Domestic Violence Hotline, so the reason what they're talking about, just to frame the context, is the Seahawks, when they made their little funny bunny statement or whatever, they posted numbers to the National Domestic Hotline, right? Like, hey, if you need help, call the National Domestic Hotline. Here's the 800 number. They'll talk to you 24/7, all that type of stuff. So the next paragraph, again, they're talking about, okay, well, yeah, that is a serious mental health concern, the bipolarness, right? But the same National Domestic Violence Hotline that the Seahawks posted declares that bipolar disorder does not cause one to become an abuser. Okay, so
there we go.
They was like, no, wait a minute, and the bad part about that is, and this person who wrote this Yahoo report, right? I don't think they knew who they were checking. They thought they were checking the Seahawks. Actually, by proxy, they were checking his girlfriend, because his girlfriend was the one that said that, told the police that about him being off his bipolar meds. He's bipolar and he's being off his meds. So when you to segue or to conflate that to what you were talking about with the divestors, no disrespect again to this victim. I mean, I hope she gets all the help that she needs, but she kind of seems like a divestor. I mean, I'm seeing ramblings on that. Where there's smoke, there's fire, and you're out here you're somewhat excusing his behavior. I mean, this dude almost killed you, right? This white supremacist, this mean, gorilla, because, if you notice, when they shave all their hair off, they're actually white under there. Monkeys are. But anyways, yeah, this person tried to kill her, and you out here excusing his behavior, So, yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. Black is whack, white is right, and they unfortunately, a lot of them, with mass incarceration and war on drugs, obviously, we can talk about how a lot of our families did not grow up with the father in the house. So that's a big issue, right? So because of that, a lot of, we'll just talk about the Black women because we're talking about that on Twitter. A lot of them just did not grow up with a strong Black man in the household, So unfortunately, they, because they haven't seen that, they can't, I guess they can't, there's no respect or appreciation for that Black man in the house. So again, and all they see is the negative stuff around them. And that's all that's fed to them, because we all know how the media does a great job of feeding negative stereotypes about Black men and Black women, but a lot of it's focused on Black men, and and a lot of us, we play into that because we love consuming media. We love watching TV, social media, all that BS, right? And then on top of that, you get up and you go to college, these liberal colleges, they put that liberal bug in your ear, that feminist bug in your ear, all of that to sit here and say, yeah, basically, and I'm paraphrasing, but basically, yeah, Black men ain't ish, go ahead and be empowered and do your own thing. Or if you are going to be with a man, be with Chad, be with this person, be with that person. Just don't be with Jerome, Tyrone.
What a name. What a name.
Right. Exactly. Right. So, and then again, we talked about it before. It's always that hairstyle, man, that hair, that wig, that weave. I mean, me personally, I've been saying this for a long, long time, even before I got to DC. I said, I never, ever trusted a Black woman with a blonde weave, blonde wig, blonde weave, whatever, or blonde hair, period. I just never did. I said, you know what? That is just so off. That's so extreme on the other end of what a natural Black woman is. Yes, I know we can go into the arguments of, yes, there's some of them have Black, like if you go to New Zealand or the Aboriginals in Australia,
they can stop that argument. They can stop that argument. That's it. They can stop that argument. That's so old.
Right. 99.99999% of us do not have that. And so it's so off, again, extreme on the other end of what your natural self is, that I just can't rock with that. And there's other things that are playing into it. I don't care what nobody says, but there is. And this is not to knock the women that do wear the wigs, the weaves and all that. Hey, look, y'all beautiful. I like y'all too. But again, just me personally, there's always certain characteristics that play into a certain personality and, and actions and whatnot. And so, I haven't been wrong since. So, yeah.
Like I want to say one thing. When you said the name, there's a big difference on how Chad Ochocinco was treated versus Chad Wheeler. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I said something about the name, and I'm like, Chad Ochocinco was treated totally different. And I wanted to bring up something like, make sure y'all head further down on my YouTube channel and check out my film They Evil, because what I saw this thing. Shout out to Tariq Nasheed. He spoke on this incident, and the divest Twitter and divest females, kind of been coming after him. And so, I all of a sudden got an idea to start writing and storyboarding maybe another episode of Day Evil. So yeah, I think I might do some with They Evil Divested,
well,
episode.
We can even talk about Antonio Brown, too, how they treated him. Antonio Brown, that's
absolutely. And speaking of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Ben Roethlisberger, you know what I'm saying? So all that is a big difference. So
yeah, Antonio Brown, and there were no marks. That was all legit. That lady was, I think she was lying. There was no marks or nothing. There were marks on this lady, and again, but
make sure y'all go check out They Evil, and y'all may see something in the future. Like I said, I already had the props on hand, so y'all may see something in the future when it comes to They Evil. Divested.
I'm gonna need you to create an IG page. I'm gonna need that entity, that personality, have an IG page.
You know what? I might have to go ahead and gas up the car and write you a part in this, and we go ahead and make this happen. They Evil
I'm down.
Divested. So I might have to make this happen. So everybody, send me an email if you're along the I-95 stretch, and maybe we could bring Divested, to the small screen, okay?
Yeah, the Divested, I tell you. And I've gotten into it with several of them, especially living out here in DC. I mean, DC is a great place. One of the reasons why I moved out here is just so many Black people, that are actually doing great things, and I just didn't have that living in Seattle. I knew I was going to leave Seattle at a young, very, very, very young age. It wasn't, no surprise that I was getting out of there. And I came to visit in DC. My best friend lived out here and I had family here and I loved it. And I was like, wow, this is a great place to go, or to live. And I just said, yeah, I'm moving out here. And, for the most part, it's been a great place, but the mindset, you do have that sect of people out here, that are just, I mean, for lack of better, they're not B1, they're not B1. They're, and unfortunately they supplement it with liberal one or, or Democrat one or whatever you want to call it.
All one.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, and I'm not saying you can be whatever political affiliation you want, whatever. That's fine. But at the end of the day, who are you putting first? Because I'm gonna tell you right now, everybody else is putting their people first. We need to learn how to do that. So yeah.
Another sign of traits of a divested Black female, we talked about what you see the ridiculous shiny wig, and the costume, they kind of see themselves as a pseudo non-Black woman, they'll talk a certain way, and I'm not picking on people, and because with us, certain situations we could, chop it up with the family. Other situations, like my name is Tieesha. They know I'm Black before I get there, but some people, you can kind of disguise that till whatever. But they'll refer to Black men like how I refer to Black men, like my brothers, Black men, they're like Black males, everything is Black male and white males and Asian males and Black men and Asian men. And, like I am in my royal kingdom and, I am royalty and just Black males are my peasants. Like I don't deal with them. Like it's to the extreme and it's like, oh my gosh, it's really, really terrible. So you hear that. No, and they love to say these Black guys and these Black guys and only date white guys and Asian guys and Black guys. So you hear a lot of that bullshit. So, and then the ideology, like I said, everything good. They do not find, any of these incidents that we talked about where, you have Black women almost losing their freaking lives, when that, that gene is activated and they go and flip that kill switch. So they don't talk about that like Norma, Sister Norma, who, I went viral when I redid her video. Nobody was connecting with her to talk to her or to help her, in her situation. She was left out there on her own, So you could tell this whole movement is straight fake. They will not say anything against, the Zaddy at all. And so that's the part that pisses me off. But when it comes to, OJ Simpson and, Bill Cosby and Me Too and this and they all over that. They all over that. And They're
Yep.
some clickbait holes, because when you go and
Mm-hmm.
look at their YouTube channels and shit like that, they have nothing really of value to offer to the world. Just, following whatever story is trending and giving their 2 cents on it immediately for clickbait views. And that's all I got to say about that. But I
Yeah,
want to take
speaking of
us.
Me Too,
Go right ahead.
if you don't mind, yeah, speaking
Go right
of
ahead.
Me Too, and speaking of the feminist, the the feminist, I guess, culture or whatnot, I'm on their websites and they haven't even mentioned nothing about this. Nothing about this Chad Wheeler, incident about him, attempted murder on a woman, and that would be right up their alley. I mean, come on, Tawana Burke. I mean, you talk about this all the time. How Black women are preyed upon, and nothing's being done about it. And here we go. This is a clear-cut incident of this happening. I see nothing on their website about this at all. I went to feminist.com. Again, nothing about on their website about this at all. And but then Michael Vick, he
Mm-hmm.
has he gets he gets the book thrown, damn near the book thrown at him over some dog fight and stuff. So basically, Black woman, you need to understand, dogs are more important to you in this white society. Dogs are more important, and I don't understand how you would want to divest from the Black community, in all when that's happening. That just does not make sense. We care about you more than dogs, trust me.
I got this little small mic. I'm gonna head do a mic drop on what you just said, because that was just epic right there. Like, yeah, I'm gonna drop it again. So there you go. um,
Like speaking
speaking
truth.
speaking of the feminists and things like that, like this person right here who wrote this article, and we talked about this earlier, like the griot. I've been wanting to get with the griot for a minute, because I absolutely can't stand them, because the way that they come out and attack our Black men, that does not sit right with me. This was the same platform that came out and said some really disrespectful things about our great elder Malcolm X, peace be upon him. So this article here, let me get to it up here. It's written by this chick named Blue Taluzma. And I don't run my YouTube channel, my platforms based off of internet beefs or whatever. But I want you to go take a look at who she is. And it fits this whole divest Black female movement and all types of other stuff. But when you read Yahoo News, reshared what she wrote in the griot about the incident with Chad Wheeler and his, alleged brutal assault on his girlfriend. But I want to take you down here. In her article, this Blue Taluzma chick, like I said, go check her out. I think I made a Facebook post about her, but go and check her out. And it seems as though she finishes the article, where is Divest Twitter, to chime in on this? And she takes it to a link for brother Tariq Nasheed. So it's like they're more upset at what we're saying in our commentary versus this Black woman almost losing her goddamn life. And so I just want to let y'all know, sisters, this whole feminist movement, this whole, divest movement, they don't give two shits about you, about your offender, what happens to you. They just want to get click views and get shares off of your story and your pain, and then not do a damn thing about you. Okay. And this Blue Taluzma chicks, it was something that she wrote before. And I'm like, this ain't right. Who is this female? And I just want to go on record and say, these females do not, who claim to be the Black voices, the Black faces, they don't speak for me. And I'm pretty sure I have a whole bunch of other sisters that's teaming with me and say, they do not speak for me, they do not represent me, and I do not condone them disrespected, belittling, and putting down the Black man. Okay, I gave birth to one, and I got with a Black man to have him. I'm a product of a Black man getting with a Black woman, and I'm going to always stand behind the Black man. So if you present yourself as an enemy to the Black man, you are now my enemy, and that's just where the cards fall. And that's all I got to say about that. So when you said we went to feminist.com, they say have anything to say about this, it just shows that you have no friends. And if I can encourage and be influential for a moment, people say I am an influencer, I want to influence you to not follow that freaking movement, because if something happens to you, you on your own, and they're gonna use your story for clickbait, for views, for whatever, and leave you out to dry. So don't hold yourself, oh shit, I said a bad word. Don't, pimp yourself, like self to be pimped out for this whole feminine divest movement, because you are set up for failure. And that's all I gotta say about that. I think I can mic drop again, but not on the desk. So there we go with that.
Yeah, if I could add, I mean, you hit the nail on the head, Tieesha. I mean, as always. Um, to kind of go what you're talking about, with joining the movement, what they do is, what they've been doing with us, especially lately with like with Black Lives Matters and whatnot, um they're monetizing our struggle to say, and they use, and especially when it comes to the Black woman, I mean, yeah, they use y'all to push their agenda, because can't nobody push an agenda like Black people can. I mean, we're the trendiest, we're the hottest, we're trendsetters, we do all that, and they know that. They've been known that, and they've been monetizing themselves, monetizing our culture, for the last, well, at least based off of that for 100 years, but obviously it's been longer than that. But basically off of trends and whatnot, yeah, since the music industry and everything in sports. But yeah, I mean, that's what they're doing. They're using your pain to push their agenda, and they're manipulating you into thinking that it's actually helping you out when really it is not. And this is one of many cases where they have not done anything. They haven't reached out to this sister. They haven't, they're paying their hospital bills. Are they attacking Chad? They're not. Nobody's attacking Chad. I haven't really seen any attacks on Chad. Let's just be clear. But yes, you're going after Brother Tariq, when he's calling out the BS on here, you're going after Brother Tariq. So you got time for that, Miss Divest. That lady, you got time for that, but you ain't got no time, words, paragraphs, anything for the white man that actually put her in that hospital, that damn near killed her. That obviously your priorities are messed up.
Absolutely. So once again, Brother Mike, I thank you so much for being here tonight. And so I wanted to close out this video with, just a little soapbox on domestic violence. But before I get there, do you have anything that you want to add before we begin to close out this video? I don't want to keep you up here all night, although this is like intelligent conversation, just brilliant. Like I love connecting with brilliant minds. So I want to thank you for your time tonight. So is there anything you want to add before we go ahead and start wrapping up tonight?
No, I mean, hey, I really appreciate you having me on your show. This is, as I told you before, this is my first YouTube live. This is great, and I couldn't be more happier to do it on this platform. Ever since I met you at the Foundational Black American Conference, you've been,
shout out,
Right. That was really great, man. I can't wait for this year, especially in Tulsa. So yeah, we've been talking, and man, you're great. You have an excellent platform. And so, like I said, I'm honored to be on here. I guess the only thing I would say is, buy Black. And I'm really, really big into Black economics. So make sure we're spending with Black businesses, make sure we're building these Black families, because we definitely need that. We got to get we got to get our communities back, and that's only going to happen when we're building with each other, man and woman. There is no division in the Black, between Black men and Black women. They're trying to put a division there. No, it's not. You got to fight against that. Doesn't mean we can't call out the bad behaviors that's happening. I totally get that. Trust me, but we can't let that divide us. And then again, like I said, make sure we're not only creating entrepreneurs, but investing and shopping with entrepreneurs, because they need our Black dollars. Other than that, it's been great. Again, thank you for having me on here. Be one to everybody in the chat.
And to recap, how we met I was in line to get my picture taken with Judge Joe Brown, but my battery went out. And so I just heard him like, Susie, brother, can you take my picture? And that's how we met. He took my picture of the Honorable Judge Joe Brown. So thank you so much. And I think you like at that time like convinced me to kind of maybe go to a different cell phone. So I'm like, damn, this picture is crisp. I love it. So but we're gonna go through a couple of comments and questions right now. So super user here, he got the FBA flag in the background. Salute, bro. Yes, let me go ahead and give you a full screen to show that off. Mine is over there. It's behind my ancestor altar. So yeah, I need to get a new one. But shout out, to you. Thank you for your support. Like you said, support Black, buy Black. And yeah, thank you. There we go. Anything you have to say about your FBA flag and your support?
You asking me? I'm sorry, what?
Yes. Do you have anything to say in regards to your FBA flag and the power, of acknowledging our lineage and our ancestry here?
Yeah, I mean, I think the flag speaks for itself. I mean, yeah, I'm a foundational Black American. It's interesting. My dad, I want to say maybe about 2 years ago, he sent me pictures of his mom and dad, and then his mother's grandparents, right? And so he told us, matter of fact, I got it right. Just got this pinboard up because I'm trying to be like you. So right here, this is my grandmother's grandparents. This is her. Well, okay, to be more, this is her dad, right? I can't do it. Okay, this is her dad, and then he remarried, so this is stepmom, right? But anyways,
Wow.
his mom was a slave. Okay, his mom was a slave, and
Wow.
he actually looks just like my dad. I don't have a picture of my
Wow.
dad like ready hand, but he actually looks just like my dad. So now I know where my dad got the long face from. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, his mom was his mother was a slave, and he talked about it with my grandmother. So yeah, my lineage goes back to the killing, as Jason Black says, the killing fields of the South. And that's why I got that, because that's who I am. That's where I came from. I'm obviously more than that, but that's again, that's my lineage right there. Before after they took my family and they brought us here from Africa. So yeah, I'm FBA all day, every day. I make sure it's in my lingo, and yeah, you're gonna know that about me. So yeah.
That's what's up. So honorable. Shout out to brother Reggie, Tulsa, Oklahoma, 2021. Oh yeah, definitely going. We'll be there. Won't miss it. So that's what's up. Shout out to brother Miles. Just looked up Blue Toulousema, and she is who's probably with as all the main leaders of.
Yep. Right. Fill in the
Yeah,
blank. Yeah,
was
yeah.
was just announced as a Nobel Prize winner. To many, love Zaddy too much. There we go. And I told you, I think when I saw her, she had like kind of, I don't know. It was right there. It's like this little intro clip that she made, and I'm like, oh, I know exactly who this is. Like I said, she did something in the past, and I shared it on Facebook, and I'm like, we need to watch out for that one. And just the names that come out, they do not speak for me. So she is not my representative. She's not anything for me at all. Okay.
And crying Van Jones don't speak for me. So yeah.
There we go. Absolutely. What else we got? You said that Tarana Burke, by her own words, it's not my job to go after white men. I don't bite the hand that
Right.
feeds me.
Yep.
The majority of us have jobs, but right is right and wrong is wrong. And if you sit up here and be quiet about when you seeing and witnessing someone else being harmed when it happens to you, then don't expect anybody to come caping for you. You know what I'm saying? So if you don't have the integrity and integrity bone in your body to speak out against injustice and stand up for people, it's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just want to say thank you everybody who's here tonight. I don't want to go on for too long. I will respond, leave a comment. Like I said, if you have my phone number, you can call me. And yeah, I would definitely reply back. We have one here. There we go. Seattle is expensive. Where we at? So Seattle is expensive no matter your background. I'm middle class, and the rich are the reason Seattle is hard to buy in. I grew up in Atlanta. You can be a royal there for $60K a year. I'm telling you, like, I had to get out, as y'all saw. Go back in my history when I got the opportunity to get up out that joker. I loaded up my condo and I drove across country. And like you said, I picked Georgia because it's so many beautiful Black people here, cultures here, and I want to help take the taboo out of being Black. Where I was in a training and they played this audio of, they was like, listen to this. This is from a terrorist organization, and they played the video, and I heard Malcolm's voice. I'm like, what the hell? And so it pissed me off how they just hijacked our leader and straight, distorted his message and really, rolled him out to be something that he is absolutely not. And that's what my mission here, not exactly on YouTube, but in my life. Unapologetically Black. There's nothing evil, terroristic, or taboo about being Black. There's nothing wrong with our heroes, and I do not stand when other people disrespect us, our heroes, our master teachers. I speak out, and I hope to encourage everyone else to be unapologetically Black. I was Black before I was a female. My two Black parents got together when my mom was pregnant. She gonna be Black, and it took to that like 19th week, in utero to figure out that I developed into a female. But I was Black first, and that's how a majority of y'all need to think. There's nothing taboo or bad about it. So that's why I do everything black first. My beautiful black people. Even when I'm out in the country, back roads of Georgia and Alabama, I see black people. I'm like, how you doing, brother? How you doing, sister? I'm so happy. But yeah, I'm gonna take this moment and get on my domestic violence soapbox for a second. I want to take this comment down because this topic, yeah, we had a couple of smiles. It was kind of tongue in cheek for a hot second, but it was some actual truth and things that could save your life in this video. But I want to talk about domestic violence for a second. You have to be aware, pay attention to the red flags, listen to your elders. One thing that I noticed, in my 20s, and I went straight from high school on a Thursday to the military on a Monday. Okay. So I didn't really get prepped for what's out in the real world. But, you have to pay attention, listen to the elders. We're in a world where they tell us that it's a melting pot, but like I said, it's now described as a chef salad. Okay, you have people over here who are doing a thing who identify as lettuce. You can't force that lettuce to become a tomato, and some people don't like onions in their salad, so you're going to get all types of backlash. But know who you are. Know that you cannot cure racism by laying in the bed and open up your legs. Okay, it's not going to happen. You have to be aware of what's going on out here, and don't think that there's something about you that makes you exempt. Okay.
If it didn't work in chattel slavery, I'm sorry to mean to cut you off. If it didn't work in chattel slavery, what makes you think it's going to work in 2021?
Why? I could not have said it better. I could not have said it better. So, this type of talk that we had tonight, it may be taboo. YouTube may say it goes against our community guidelines. But this is stuff that our elders was passing down the generations because they wasn't doing this because they were set in their ways, but this was a way that they stayed alive. Right here in Macon, I put a video on Instagram about how the great Little Richard, he's like, look, I came from Macon. It was real prejudice there. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of that mindset still exists, so you have to be aware. I went to the Harriet Tubman Museum. They have signs on the wall. Have your ass in the house before the sun goes down. That's why we had to be in the house before the street lights came on, or our parents had to be in before the street lights, because things like that happen. These things still happen, and we're not solving it in the bedroom. We're not solving it by divesting, okay? Don't believe the hype. If you're in a domestic violence situation, please get out before it costs you your life. There are resources available. We mentioned tonight the domestic violence hotline. You also have your local resources as far as getting a protective order. You also have domestic violence shelters. If you have a close friend that you can, confide in and also have a safe place, get you a plan together. You can also contact the YWCA and get with a victim advocate and get yourself some help. But at the end of the day, realize that love doesn't hurt, and you should not be afraid of that person that, you're in a domestic situation where it can be a parent, a sibling, a cohabitant, all that falls under that domestic umbrella. And if it's damn near costing you your life or any type of assault or fear, it's not worth it. Please do what you gotta do to get out. And in case of emergencies, dial 911. Brother Michael, do you have anything to close out this video with?
I got a lot of things I could close out with. This topic, this conversation is always very, we can talk for hours and hours and hours, but no, I mean, definitely, I mean, I'm gonna champion what you said. I mean, yeah, I mean, if you're in a situation, go get help, do what you can, call 911, yeah, I mean, calling 911 can kind of be taboo now, unfortunately, because depending on the situation, you may lose your life calling them. But, maybe, also too, find your fellow black man. I mean, we out here protecting. One incident that I remember when I was 19, right? I used to work at you remember Les Schwab, the little tire place. And this was on Pacific Highway, and I had seen, and this is, I was definitely a lot, I wasn't as muscular as I was back when I was 19. Let's just say that. So I'm a small guy, right? And I seen this man beating up on this woman, and instantly my protector gene kicked in, and I ran up on him, and I knew he was taller than me. Ran across the highway, went up on him, and and he backed away as I ran up, and called the police. They came, everything was cool. and I guess I say that to say is, as men, that's going to kick in with us. If you need help, we will come and we will protect you. So, yes, utilize those resources, but your fellow Black man is a resource as well. So don't forget that. Other than that, be one all day.
And as you're saying that, I'm typing in something into the chat. I was telling myself to make sure that I mentioned this in this video. If you're in the greater Atlanta area and you need protection from a racist, white supremacists, you're in a domestic violence situation, or you need any type of protection, contact the brothers at Fernbush Training Center, and you can contact them. I will put that in the description once I get done with the video. But if the video's up right here. I'm going to play it so you can hear what the brother says, what he's offering. Okay.
Founded Fernbush. When I set out to start Fernbush, it wasn't for any type of, personal edification or self-aggrandizement. It was because I looked at my community and I saw the need for a lot of things, but the need to be able to hone the necessary skill that was indeed provided to them by their quote-unquote forefathers of this piece of land that we're here on called America. Now, with that being said, in light of these current elections and what happened, there are a lot of attacks on the lives of Black independent businesses. For people that live in the Atlanta area, especially the South Fulton area, if you are experiencing that, and you feel like you need any kind of help, you just send us a message. We will be there. Thank you. How you doing?
All right, so yeah, I want to go ahead and talk about that. So yeah, make sure on Instagram, also Facebook, and I believe their website is spermbush.com. If so, I will put it in the description, I promise. But if you're in the greater Atlanta area, you need protection. We have brothers that are doing a damn thing. So nobody can say that Black men are not protecting us. It's like I said, the difference between males and men. We got black men out here who is holding it down. And if you need help, they're there. So contact Fernbush if you need any kind of assistance and you're in the greater Atlanta area. So that's what we got for you tonight. Thank you so much for watching this video. Like I said, we hope to have impacted someone to change a life and speak out against, injustices that happen to, our brothers and sisters, and, speak against the enemies against us and bring this stuff to the forefront and just put an intelligent voice behind it, intelligent thoughts. And this is how a Black woman and a Black man, we interact. We're not enemies. You see us together. We are a united front, and anybody else who is against us, we're united front to defeat it. So thank you so much for listening to us tonight. And to close out, I will see y'all in the next video. Make sure you follow us on our social media pages. Brother Michael, how can people get in touch with you? I didn't ask that. How can they get in touch with you and reach out to you and get some more of this intelligent, dialect and, know what's going on in your brilliant mind?
Yeah, I mean, you can hit me up on Twitter. I'm pretty active on there as of right now. My Twitter handle is the Areast. It's THE_AREAST, the area. So think of the area, but add ST at the end. So again, it's THE_AREAST. So, and I quite, I post on there frequently. And, again, just spreading the love, spreading the information, making sure that we know, what's going on out here, what's happening, and making sure we're staying empowered. And you can also find me on Clubhouse too. I'm on Clubhouse, Michael Powell, I'm on there, and I'm part of the Center Stage podcast, where we actually engage in conversations like this. We have discussions like this all the time. Shout out to Scammy, shout out to Maya, part of the Center Stage podcast. We have a great time on there. Y'all got to come up on Clubhouse and get us and follow me on there. Again, the Center Stage podcast on Clubhouse.
Okay, I'm typing everything in as quick as I can. The Center Stage podcast. There we go.
Yeah, the Center Stage podcast. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm really doing the damn thing. Okay, thank you so much for being here tonight, Brother Michael. I thank you. You have an invite back whenever. Call me anytime. And yeah, I just want to say thank you to everybody, my moderators, new subscribers, and those who have shared this and also watch the rebroadcast. Connect with me on my other social media platforms. If you're in need of protection, make sure you go to Tieemonics.com and get all your self-defense needs. Connect with me on my other social platforms. I'm also on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, every now and then, Facebook, trolling, and yeah, Tieesha Essex, hit me up there, and I will see y'all on the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Brother Michael, do not click out. I'm just going to end the broadcast, and we will talk afterwards. So have a good night. I love y'all, and I'll see y'all in the next video.
All right.